Hello. Good morning, good afternoon, depending where you're located. Edward Medor here with Workies and Derrek. So good to see you again today, my friend. What's it been like? 4 days, 5 days
I
since I
know,
last.
long time no see, but we are, and we are kind of getting back to our roots here. So that's kind of how we started doing things, was all these webinars, and then I think it's been a little bit since a webinar because we've been doing some in-person events for the last like 2 to 3 months.
Yeah,
So
man. It
now
was
we're,
it was December, Christmas. You were wearing your super cool elf hat that I,
that's
kind of
right.
had to bend your arm, twist it a little bit to get you to put that thing on, right?
Yeah, now we're getting back to our roots of webinars.
Well, excellent. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. And I hate to be a broken record, but I always say this for anyone on your team that is not here today, and for folks that are going to be watching this later. We always make good of our promise. We're recording this. We're going to send it out to you. Please feel free to forward it along to any other team members that couldn't be here today. But super excited, Derrek. We put our heads together after this last holiday webinar, and we said, what are some things that we haven't talked about? Because surely we have not talked about everything that there is to talk about yet,
Not
right?
yet, not
Uh,
yet.
but today's topic really does excite me. Like how can we build better customer relationships that truly drive revenue? And I think that's a super interesting topic because I myself, as a consumer, have been a little disenchanted from time to time with a home service company that has come out. Inevitably, it's always going to cost me money, right? So I want
We
to
know
feel
that, right?
comfortable if I'm going to open up my wallet and pay for something. And so I'm really excited to hear what you can teach us today. You're a wealth of knowledge all the time, and so I'm gonna pass the mic to you, my friend. Let's talk about the trust factor.
Let's talk about it, and we'll do this collaboratively. We both have the mic on things because I think we can have some conversations about this too. Trust is one of my favorite topics actually to talk about because I think it's the root problem, or issue for a lot of things. Because just even like you were talking about, Edward, there, you have your house, you're a consumer, of the type of products of things that we talk about, that they're at your house, and that when someone's coming out, that money is going to be involved, right? Like that's obviously people don't work for free, but I'm sure you have a lot of concerns on how much you can trust them though to you the full scope of things that's going on, to charge you a fair and accurate price, to give you all your options. Like, how much does that enter your mind, Edward, specifically of, do I need to trust this person or not?
All the time. But, I might be the wrong person to ask because I'm a little cynical. I mean, I don't typically trust anyone, right? But
Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
I mean, hey, there's all different types of customers out there. And when you are walking into my house, know that I am immediately going to be skeptical that what you're telling me is, true. That you're not trying to rip me off because unfortunately I've had a myriad of these bad
yeah.
experiences.
I don't think that you're the unusual one in this. Like, I think we should just kind of operate that is how our customers feel.
Mhm.
And that is going to be their concern. And so I think we should operate in a manner that takes that into consideration. So let's dive forward. So if trust is low, what happens? So there's a number of things that happen, and they're all low. None of them are good. When trust is low, good things don't happen. Low appointment close rates. This can be, even just from the person in the office who handles the phone calls. If you can look at this is something that we've talked about before that I think every company needs to track. How many times does the phone ring in any given time period? And how many appointments do we book? And if those aren't similar numbers, I think we should be concerned, right? If the phone rings 100 times in a month, but we have 20 booked appointments, I think we should have some panic, or some alarm
No
bells.
problem. Yeah.
Yeah, and this is what I'm talking about. Why? Well, just for one, maybe, and obviously this is where Workies tries to provide a solution here of we might just be missing the phone calls, right? And you guys have a great solution for that. But if we're not answering the phone or having the phone get picked up, that is going to hurt trust. I'm not going to trust a company that I can't reach.
Yeah. Bingo.
And then if we are picking up the phone calls, why does that not result in a booked call? We should maybe dive into what is happening on that call, where someone's like, you know what, maybe let me call around a little bit and I'll come back to you guys if I really need it, or things like that. So low appointment close rates. We're typically going to have a low number of maintenance agreement customers when trust is low, because that is an ultimate stamp of trust. The ability to be like, to enter an official relationship with a home service company and sign up and prepay for future visits. I'm not going to do that for someone that I don't trust. Low average tickets.
Mm-hmm.
Just, again, low close rates. We're probably going to have to be priced low to try to compensate for these things, right? Because we're thinking, if we're not thinking about trust, we're thinking, well, maybe it's just our prices.
Yeah.
And now our pricing is wrong. And what happens, Edward, when prices are wrong?
When your pricing is wrong, everything is wrong.
Yeah, trust is wrong when prices are wrong. Like,
Yeah.
it's a little suspicious to be lower priced than everyone else, right?
It is.
Low employee retention, because there's not only external customers, there's internal customers. And if trust is low internally,
If your customers don't trust you, I guarantee your employees don't trust you either.
yeah, absolutely. So we're going to see that in employee retention, where, maybe the owners or the leaders are saying, no, guys, just promise, stick around. Excel change, Excel improve, stick around. And employees like, I don't know if I trust that that's going to happen. Low number of inbound calls, because people maybe they're looking at the website, they're looking at the social presence, they're looking at the lack of reviews maybe, and they're not forming trust to even want to give a call to this company. So trust even affects, that's what's scary, right? Trust even affects the ability for someone to pick up the phone, and you might not even get a chance to build trust if they don't pick up the phone.
Yeah.
And then ultimately low profit. That's kind of our thesis here, right? Increase trust to increase your profit. So customers will let you know when there's a trust issue. They just don't come out and specifically say, I don't trust you, because that's rude. And most people, even like, being cynical and full of skepticism, though, I'm sure you don't want to just come across as rude to somebody and just straight. Maybe you do, and you'll just straight.
I don't know. I would say it depends on the day.
Oh yeah.
No, generally speaking, I try to be a good human being.
Yes, we try not to blame the messenger, necessarily the tech inside of our house, and all that. And so I think we kind of do this passive aggressive way of letting a company know that we don't trust them, versus just straight up. Because if customers just straight up said, listen, I don't trust you, we would fix it. We would, oh my, like we would realize the unsustainability of that scenario, and we would prioritize addressing it. The problem is most of the time customers don't straight up say that. They say other things. And these are the things that they say when they mean, I don't trust you. They say things like, listen, I'm just going to call around and get some pricing. That means I don't trust you yet. May not be an active thing where you've broken trust. They're saying, I don't trust you yet, so I'm trying to protect myself. They say things like, I'm not looking to do anything now. I'm just trying to get some info.
Yeah.
What they mean is, I don't trust you yet.
Yeah.
Oh, no, everything's been working completely fine. This is like the classic when you go to the dentist to get your teeth cleaned, and any issues, any concerns. You've been brushing, you've been flossing. Oh yeah, no, everything's 100% fine. Meanwhile, you're really hoping the dentist doesn't spot or catch maybe a sensitive area or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Right out of the gate, they say things to right at the front door. Hey, just so you know, I'm not going to make a decision today. I just want to get all the info. I kind of want to know my prices, what prices are, and then I'll make a decision later. They're telling you straight up, I don't trust you yet, right? Or they might say something like, listen, I just want to do the absolute minimum. Don't even try to upsell me. Don't even try to talk about other things. Only want to do the absolute minimum. Again, they're saying, I don't trust you yet. I'm going to need to talk to my spouse first. We're always scapegoating our significant others, right?
Blame the wife, blame the husband. There you go.
Blame the dog, blame the parent. Somebody's got to get scapegoated. It's not me. I would say yes, but I've got this other person, that I got to talk to, and then postponement. Postponement is a lack of trust. Can we just take care of that later? Can I give you a call next week? My schedule, it'd be better off if we just did this a little later. That again is a lack of trust. Okay. One more. This is for our people on the phone. Why do you want to charge me just to come out and take a look?
Oh, I hate when people say that. Like if you needed a heart surgeon, you're going to get like a free consultation on your heart, man. Like, come on.
Yeah. But again, this is things that get said when we don't trust.
Right.
It's that skepticism. You're going to take my money in exchange for what? I don't trust you to just do that. I need to know what I'm getting for this.
Yeah.
And a lot of times too, people are just trying to protect themselves because they have been maybe taken advantage before, not felt good about getting their money's worth before, and now they're transferring that feeling over to you. And these are the things.
I think some of your examples there, like for which one was it? Like, I'm just looking to do the absolute minimum. That tells me right off the bat that they've been burned before.
Yes.
They know, like, oh, this guy's going to try to sell me the sun, moon, and the stars, like, no, man. Yes, I have a problem today, but I just want to do the bare minimum,
Yeah. Because I don't trust you that you're not going to, try to sell me something I really don't need.
Yeah.
And so we put up these walls. Like, don't even try, man.
Yeah.
And again, these are the things that happen when trust is low. When we have a trust-built relationship with a customer, which is why I love maintenance agreements so much, because trust takes time. And if we're going out there twice a year, once a year, multiple, we get multiple opportunities to build trust. When trust is high, people don't say any of these things.
Yeah.
It just doesn't happen. These things don't get said when trust exists. And so that's why I know that when we're hearing these things, that they don't trust us yet, right? We still have an opportunity to earn their trust. Or if we did something though to break their trust, that this also might be why we're hearing this, because we broke their trust. And I want to talk about that too before we get into the solution. Because so many companies, in my experience, I work with technicians all over the US. I work with a ton of technicians. They're sometimes accidentally doing these things, don't realizing that it's a trust breaker. Even companies themselves. If you're over promising, you're selling. We're going to come out, let's go out, right? They're painting like this type of picture that it can be very hard not to live up to. And that breaks trust. And you promised me that you'd come out, you'd figure this out easy, it'd be an easy fix. And now you're telling me that it's a little bit more extensive, than you thought. And I'm going to have to spend more money, than you thought. I don't
I
know
got to
now if I
replace
tried.
my entire system. Come on,
Yeah,
man.
that is the problem of over promising.
Yeah.
Because you're basically selling if you're over promising, right? This one should be fairly obvious. No one likes this hidden fees or just any type of surprises. We want the person on the phone to communicate exactly what's going to happen when the technician gets there. We want the technician to reinforce exactly what's going to happen on the visit and try to eliminate surprises. Surprises break trust.
Yeah. How many times in your experience, Derek, have you heard of like a dispatcher not disclosing that there's going to be like a trip diagnostic?
Yeah, that
Ever
happens.
happen?
That happens all the time, and that is a surprise that is going to break trust. That is potentially a hidden fee, and I can understand that for the dispatcher, that might be a fear that it's going to come up in the conversation, and that's a hard objection, maybe in their experience, to overcome. So they're kind of thankful maybe if it doesn't come up.
Yeah.
But you're setting up that technician for a bad visit.
Yeah.
Because now the technician's like, oh, hey, yeah, well, by the way, the $89, and the homeowner's like, wait, what? And yeah, so anything hidden or anything that's going to be a surprise, that is an instant trust breaker.
Yeah.
Poor communication, slow communication. We already talked about this. If you're not answering
Well,
the phone, instant trust breaker.
this one ruffles my feathers the most. Like I could get we could do an entire hour-long call about poor communication, slow communication.
Yeah. This is why for me, like Jessica from Workies, your system that makes sure that this is never going to happen again to somebody is so important. To even if it's just used to fill in the gaps of lunch breaks, after hours, weekends, holidays. It's a trust breaker if you cannot reach somebody.
Yeah. No, I'm glad you brought that up because we've obviously been showcasing this a lot together, and we were, for everyone that was unaware, SBE had their big annual conference last year, and it was, or not last year, sorry, last week.
Last week.
It was so exciting though because we got to show our AI assistant, and I mean, like, we're going to really help you prevent this big problem of breaking trust by having constant communication after hours. Dispatcher's busy, phones are going off the hook, she can't answer them all, right?
Yeah.
Jessica steps in, handles the business. I was showing a couple of your members last week, and I really let her have it too. I was like playing the arrogant customer, and I was like, I want to talk to a real person.
Yeah.
And she's like, I promise you that I am very well qualified to take care of your problems,
Yeah.
But I even went so far as to ask her, I'm like, so how much is this going to cost me? Like, you're going to charge me to come out there? And she very cheerfully and confidently said, it's only $129 for us to come out and diagnose your problem.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of it boils down to how you say it. It's not ever what you say, but how you say it.
Yep. The tone, the word choiceage. They even talk about how in non-visual communication, like a phone call, that whether you're smiling or not, makes an impact. Your body language, your posture, those things even matter in non-visual communication. No, I completely agree. And, obviously not answering the phone is a problem, but even just getting back to somebody, needing to put somebody on hold for extended period of time, needing to put somebody on hold repeatedly. These are things that actually break trust. They might not sever, like a complete severance. I've viewed trust before described as like more of like a rope, made up of individual strands, and every little thing just severs a strand. Then if it keeps going, at some point the whole rope gets broken. It's really rare that it's just a clean, it's lost forever. It's like little paper cuts that add up. Even just slow communication. I have a lot of empathy, for the smaller operations where they're wearing all the hats and they're trying to do things, and someone calls in the middle of an install, and they still pick it up, and but they're like, listen, I'm kind of doing something right now. I need to call you back. And then an hour or 2 hours late, like, I get it. They're doing the best they can, but it does break trust. And that's a lot of times why those companies never can get the escape velocity out of the situation that they're at.
Yeah.
And they just kind of do the same amount of work, the same amount of revenue, because they need a better operation to break out of that habit, and a better operation that builds trust. And by the way, I forgot to say it when we started, but anyone who's listening to this, please be interactive in the chat. If you want to ask questions or get some clarification or throw in your own 2 cents or opinion on this, I think both of us, Edward, probably have the chat up, and we love the interaction.
Yeah, lower right-hand corner, if you're looking for it, little chat, you can type questions.
Yes, especially like if someone else knows instant trust breakers too, and you want to throw those out there, like this is a good conversation. I've got a few more. Unprofessional behavior, and this one is sneaky. This one can just be the person on the phone that's not as patient. Maybe it's a busy day, the phones are ringing off the hook, and they let a little bit of that impatience transfer over to the homeowner. Like, well, what do you expect? Everyone's system's breaking. You can't come out here. Listen, sir, it is hot out. Like that type of stuff is very unprofessional, and it does break trust. That for the person who has an issue, they're not necessarily concerned about everyone else's issues. They want to know how you're going to help them with their issue. Even just in the unprofessional behavior, just every single interaction of how the technician shows up at the house, where they park, how their vehicle looks, how they're presentable,
their appearance,
the materials that they have, and this again too, are they operating something like Workies that's on a tablet and everything is clean and easy to read? And, is it like crumpled up, paper and documents and, handwritten stuff? These are all things that affect trust. And some of them might be trust breakers for people. Even in the slow communication, something that just popped into my mind, but like, how long does it take to give somebody a price? How long does it take to get somebody an estimate? That in the world where everything is pretty fast and people are used to things being fast, this could be a trust breaker. Like, I had somebody out at my house a few months ago. I wanted some the basement floor. I ripped up all the carpet on the basement floor, and I want it like polished and kind of finished. So it's kind of like that exposed cement look. And so I had somebody out to give me an estimate. I'm like, okay, so what do you think? They're like, okay, well, I'll go back to I didn't get an estimate for like 4 days. It's not going to work.
I'll tell you something that's been bothering me like all morning, like for the last, I don't know, 3 weeks, I guess. But today it dawned on me that it's coming right around the corner. Workies is going to be attending this very big convention at the end of March, April, right? And the company has not gotten back to me on our hotel accommodations. I have sent 4 emails and I have called our point of contact at least half a dozen times. No response. I have lost tremendous amounts of trust. I'm like, what kind of an organization am I working with over there?
Yeah, it is. And they might in reality be the most trustworthy people ever, but this is going to be your perception that trust is breaking. Trust is severing. Because that shouldn't be a difficult answer.
No.
Either, right?
Yeah.
And then if they drop the ball in such a little tiny detail, you then start to think, well, what else might they drop the ball on that's going to be a much bigger deal than this?
That's exactly what I was thinking. I was like, we are not off to a good start here.
Yeah. Obviously, blaming or excuses are trust breakers. People want transparent communication on things. Inconsistency, lack of transparency, and pushy or pressure-driven sales tactics. These are all instant trust breakers.
Yeah, that
Go back.
one also drives me crazy when somebody just comes across like a used car salesman right away.
Yeah, instant low. And that goes back to my first slide. Low close rates, low average tickets. That's what happens with all of these things. So let's switch and be a little more positive then. All right, so if you think about somebody that you trust and like why do you trust them? You may have heard me talk about this before, Edward, but I view trust, a way to describe it, as like a triangle. A triangle, geometrically, like a pyramid, is like the strongest geometric shape, right? A triangle, because of how it's constructed and everything. And, and even like pyramids have survived thousands of years out in the wild and the test of time. They're a very, very, very strong shape. So I like the pyramid to represent trust.
I like the circle of trust.
Yeah,
What about the circle of trust, Greg? How about
I got to get
how about the circle, Greg?
Whatever our favorite geometric shape is here, and the corners of the shape, I think it starts with authenticity. We're not going to trust somebody if we don't know who they really are, and if we feel like we're just interacting with like a fake character, that used car salesman energy, like it's hard to imagine that that's how they talk to their kids or that's how they talk to their parents. They're putting on like this character, right? And I think that's why we spot it immediately and we don't like it, because we recognize it as being fake. And so we want to deal with companies that have some authenticity behind them. This is a branding issue. This is a website issue. This is why we want like good testimonials. This is why we want like good Google reviews and reviews. And not only that, but how we respond to those reviews shows who we really are and gives us a chance to show our authenticity versus being like a fake brand. And, I think for a lot of the, for both of us, Edward, I think we kind of work with the similar size of companies. We're not, there in every market, there's like the massive corporate size companies, and they have a lot of strengths because of their size, but they're not going to be trusted as much, like they just, again, because there's probably like a little bit of a lack of authenticity with some of those larger players that we could get in maybe like the 5-person operation or the 10-person.
100%. One thing that just reminded me of authenticity and in building trust, right? So I had spent almost a decade over at Angie Home Advisor, and I used to tell people all the time, because they'd be like, "Oh, I've got this 1-star review now," and I'm like, "Good. That is an excellent, excellent thing. You cannot have nothing but 5-star reviews. It's not realistic. People need to know that you are real. We are
100% agree with you, and
we're not infallible.
This is real. This is real data. They've shown that people don't trust companies with only perfect reviews. They view it as fake. Like Shane says, like someone paid for those reviews. A real company makes mistakes.
Yep.
What matters more though is how do you handle those, and so getting like a 1 or a 2-star review, how you respond is a chance to show your authenticity and to actually build trust with people who go and look at it. So I 100% agree. Competency. We obviously want to work with someone who knows what they're doing. So this is where I think like a lot of companies try to put all of their eggs in one basket. Well, I'm just a really good mechanic. I'm just a really good. And so that is going to compensate for all the other areas. But unfortunately, those tend to be a lot of the 1-person operations. They don't grow and acquire more customers, because it's not just about competency, but you do need to be competent. And then the third area is empathy. And I think if you're deficient in any one of these areas, you're going to struggle with building trust with your customers, because one, they want to know who they're actually dealing with. It's a real person. You need to know what you're doing. But the empathy piece is you understand the situation that the homeowner is in. You understand when it's hot out and they don't have AC, that they're going to be grumpy, they're going to want things fast, they're going to be impatient, and you have empathy for that. And you go ahead and recognize that. Empathy is, recognizing too that a lot of people might need to use things like financing, and you don't deliver it in a way that sounds judgmental or, make statements like, or are you going to need to finance this?
Right.
Statements like that just kill trust because you're not being empathetic. So, here at SBE, what we do is we coach and train the people answering the phone. We coach and train the people in the house, the field technicians. And every step of the process, I'm looking at it through these filters. Is it authentic? Does it demonstrate your competency? And is it showing empathy? And I want to give, we kind of talked about this, but I'm going to give an example of that in some real training. So, right, we already talked about this, a consistent training process so that the results are predictable and outcome, and the skills. So things like being empathetic, active listening, coaching. So I'm going to give a real example right out of our training. So here's just one example where we can build trust. And I even broke out the elements of the trust triangle. So this would be an example of making a call ahead. So a technician, a plumber, the garage repairman, the junk removal, the gutter cleaner, whoever, the pool person, if we're going to someone's house for a service, giving them a phone call when we're about to head our way is one of the biggest opportunities we have to build trust. All of the automations are amazing. Those enhance it, the ability to automatically send something, send a photo, those all enhance it. But still the human connection of calling. So here's an outline of how we could build trust. Because, Edward, you've had people come out to your house. Sometimes they call you, sometimes they don't, sometimes they just show up. That, in your experience, is the typical call ahead something like, hey, Edward, this is Derrek. I'm going to head your way. I'm going to be there in about 30 minutes. I'll see you then. Does that sound good?
Yeah, that's about right.
More or less, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's standard. There's nothing there that built trust.
No, but I am surprised you called me because very few
yeah, even that is very hit or miss.
Yeah.
So instead, imagine a phone call like this. Hey, Edward, this is Derrek with ABC Heating and Cooling. I'm going to be your technician today. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, man.
Authenticity. I'm trying to be myself. It looks like I'm coming out here because your house isn't heating up today, or you're not having heat. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yeah, it's really cold, man. Is
everyone doing okay? Are you okay?
No, I'm freezing. Get here now.
Yeah, no, I completely understand. I just want to make sure, that everyone's safe. I'm gonna get out there. Just really curious. I'm about to head your way. Anything that you noticed before this? Or Edward, when was the last time you had maintenance?
Oh, I don't know. I just bought this house 6 months ago and it's making some really funny sound, and yeah, it's just really cold in here.
Okay, so kind of unknown a little bit, maybe the history of what was going on there, or things like that. Okay, completely normal. Okay, so yeah, good news. I'm going to head your way. My GPS is showing me it's going to take about 33 minutes. So will that be okay for me to arrive in about 33 minutes?
Oh yeah, I'll be here working from home today.
Okay, I'm actually filling up my truck right now. I had to stop and get some gas. I know it's real cold and you have no heat. Edward, could I grab you like a hot coffee or hot chocolate or something like that?
Wow. Yeah, I mean, I hate to be an imposition, but coffee sounds great. I ran out.
Yeah, no worries. I'll pick one up, and I'll be there as quick as I can.
Wow.
Okay, so how is this, Edward? We role played, so it's fake, but being on that side, how are we doing with building trust, do you think, in a conversation like this?
Yeah, by the way, folks, I had no idea he was going to do that. So I'm going to tell you right now, though, like I would literally, my jaw would be on the ground if somebody was coming over to my house to fix my furnace and they offered to bring me a cup of coffee. Like, game over. Like, you just built some trust with me, and you can probably sell me the sun, moon, and the stars now.
Yeah, and I tried to label everything that I did on here. People could kind of see the rough script. I tried to label the piece of the trust that I was working on building. So the thing about picking something up, that's empathy. you're cold.
Yeah.
Coffee's hot. When we're cold, we want something hot. Making sure that everyone's okay. Letting know that I looked at the notes. Edward, I know why I'm coming out here.
Yeah.
Looks like your house isn't heating and, you woke up and it's not working. Am I understanding this correctly? Even though like a technician typically knows they're going on a demand call, I can't tell you how often they knock on the door, the homeowner opens up and they're basically like, so tell me what's going on.
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to tell you something, just using a real life example here, but like from the SBE conference last week, it warmed my heart to no ends of the earth because I am always a big note taker. And one of your members had told me a whole bunch of information, which I passed along to my sales rep, right? I happened to have time to listen to that call today. She reiterated within the first minute of the call everything that he had shared with me. She confirmed with him, instantly creating more credibility.
Mm-hmm.
It was an amazing call. And he said, I'm ready to go by the end of the month. They scheduled a time. So I'm so glad you're talking about this today, because there are these little things you can do to instill more credibility and give yourself a much better shot at winning that business.
Yeah, that's a great example. Like I said, trust takes time. So if we skip the call ahead, we're shrinking the amount of time, that we have. And also now too, this took me 20 to 30 seconds to do with you. But now what are you thinking for the 33 minutes while I drive over there? So
I'm about to get coffee, man.
I just added 33 minutes to my trust time, that it takes, where you can be thinking like, oh, wow, maybe this tech is different. And maybe this is one I can actually trust.
Yeah.
So yeah, like you said, it's almost like a surprise if you get a phone call from your tech. So in my opinion, it's a huge wasted opportunity if we're not doing call aheads. And I did one example of heat. We could do plumbing. We could do anything. It could even just be Edward, it looks like you're wanting some maintenance done on your system. What's going on that had you thinking about maintenance, right? I could do it with any type of call, but all of those things build trust. And so this is like a little sneak peek into our training program of the type of things that we're teaching technicians, again, and how to build that trust. Speaking of, I actually have a podcast called The Trusted Technician. And if anyone wants to hear more examples of that phone call, I'll leave this slide up here for a second. They can listen to it. More tips and things. Pull out those phones, grab it, or just Google The Trusted Technician. That's how passionate I'm about this subject that we named the podcast, The Trusted Technician podcast. So anyone going out to the homes, more little insight and details there. So let's wrap up and summarize. We should be analyzing where trust may be breaking down. Again, if we're monitoring our inbound call data, calls are coming in, but they're not being answered. They're not resulting in appointments. We're sending technicians to homes and we're getting $0 calls, or we're getting bare minimum. We're not closing maintenance agreements. We need to do an analyzation. Our website, we're getting website traffic, but we're not getting phone calls or form fills. We should do an analyzation at where is it that the trust is breaking down in our process, and then work to fill those gaps. Training. It's the process that builds trust. We need to train that process to everybody. So from answering the phone to running the calls, we need to train people how to do the call ahead so that they're doing one like I did and creating trust. We need to identify the skills that we might be lacking. Maybe it's we're not great listeners. We're not great at asking questions. We're not great at empathy. We're not great at giving options. We're not great about talking about financing. We're not great at dispatching. We're not, whatever it is, identify the skills that are lacking and then just start coaching and hold people accountable to it. My biggest takeaway being just trust doesn't happen by accident. You got to be intentional and have a plan. And I did a shameless plug, for my podcast, but I'm happy to shamelessly plug Workies when as a company, when you're using a professional software like that is going to transfer trust, where your price book is in a nice clean spot. You can hit buttons and text over the invoice immediately. You can accept payments easily. You can answer your calls. Those are trust building things as well, because you come across as a company that has their act together.
Yeah, I mean, and these are such little tiny things, and what always surprises me, and maybe you're listening to this today and you feel like you're in the same boat. I'll talk to someone that says, I'm too small for software like that. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I can't afford it. That's not for me yet. And I'm like, whoa, wait a second. This could be paying for itself,
It quickly pays for itself.
Think about the other things that I might be helping you with right now that are preventing you from maximizing your revenue, because you've got customers out there that don't trust you. Number one reason, at least in my opinion, Derrek, back me up if you agree or disagree. Number one reason why people don't buy from you, and they're just ghosting, because I see it happen all the time, right?
Yeah. There's a lot of
Customer
ghosts.
just doesn't call back.
Yeah.
I'll go talk to one of our account executives. Well, what happened with that deal, right? I don't know. They just won't call me back. They didn't trust you.
Yep.
They didn't
100%.
trust you.
It's trust. They didn't trust you.
Yeah.
And again, I don't want anyone to take it personal. They might just not trust people who come to their house to sell a service.
Yeah.
Just like you said, skepticism. And unfortunately, maybe you didn't do anything to change their opinion about that. Totally. So now they need to get another opinion. They need to get multiple estimates. And now it's just a gamble, on who they're going to pick and move forward, versus being the one that created trust. So where they're like, you know what, I don't even need to get other estimates. I trust this guy, and I want to go with him. If anyone needs help building more trust, like I said, we're a training company. Things like that call ahead are what we train people to do. I'd be happy to have a one-on-one conversation more. They can scan that and book some time. Edward, do we feel like we covered trust and how we break it and the importance of trust as a topic?
I mean, I'm feeling good. Like I promise you guys, I really didn't know that he was going to do that towards the end. I love that tactic. I'm telling you right now, if somebody called me up and said, is there anything I could get for you? I can't think of a time that has ever happened, but I know me. Like, if somebody approaches me and they're coming on with the hard sales tactics right off the bat, I know it's game over. I'm not going to do business with that person. However, if somebody does something like that, it is going to raise my trust, and I might conceivably give him all of my money, because I'm just like, okay, yep, I think you're cool. Because I believe we buy from people that we like. We buy from people that we trust. We may be willing to spend twice as much money just because we feel comfortable about doing business with that company.
I completely agree. Yeah, it's trust. To me, trust is everything. It explains, a lot of the issues, and it's the solution too. We need to analyze where we're not doing the best that we can to build trust, and then work on building trust. It's a game changer.
Derrek, I just thought of a new tagline for you. You know how we always say, if your pricing is wrong, everything is wrong? I think it should be, if the trust isn't there, I don't know.
No repair.
No repair. There you go. If the trust isn't there, no repair. I love it. Okay, well, hey, thank you very much, everyone. Let's see. Do we have another question in here? Yep. Shane just coined that. He was like, all right, I'm using that one. If the trust isn't there, no repair. But thanks so much for joining us. Derrek and I will be collaborating again. I think we were talking about later in April or early May. Yeah. We're putting our heads together, and we're coming up with another exciting topic that's going to blow your mind. So thanks so much for joining us. As always, appreciate you taking the time out of your day. And get out there and, go solve all the
Go build trust.
Go build some trust and solve all the home service problems of the world.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks a lot, guys. Have a great day.
Later.